guess for this week for you, does this bring back a flood of memories?
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of the Big 12 opponents obviously have played a lot of games against. So, you know, going back to all these places is places I've been, which is fun. And, you know, against most of them, we've had some good ones. We've had some bad ones when I played. So, you know, hopefully we can go down there and play well and score some points.
I was going to say, I saw some stats somebody posted of you. Your first year against Texas, you threw for 519. And I guess your last year, you only threw for 470. What happened to the decline?
Danny was gone. No, we'll say that. No, you know, and when we went to Texas, you know, that was a wild game from what I remember. My junior year, we threw it a lot that year. I think that's the game where Coach Leach gave the chicken and the ham or chicken and the pig analogy in the post-game press conference. He obviously didn't like a call or something, but that's kind of usual with Coach Leach. But, you know, like I said, it's a fun place to play, and been down there a couple times to play, and, you know, excited to get back down there. And you know, obviously Texas is where I'm from, and so know a lot of people down there and have memories playing against these guys. So going down there will be fun, and obviously we're going to have to play well, though, to go score some points.
Obviously I'm teasing, but the point is that Texas seems to bring out the best in people, doesn't it?
Yeah, I hope. We'll see on Saturday. But, you know, in those years at Texas Tech, I mean, I think a lot of it was just we always had a chip on our shoulder no matter who we were playing, especially if we were playing other Texas schools, just because we were like the little, you know, to A&M or to Texas, we were kind of the looked down upon child of the three, you know, and so we always played with a chip on our shoulder against those guys, it felt like. And, you know, like I said, it'll be a fun place. It'll be fun to get back down there. I think they've done a lot of stuff to it since I was there. So it'll be fun to see the upgrades and, like I said, get back down to Austin and play another game.
Speaking of Leach, if you knew that you would be running for 200 yards with your Leach background, what would he say to you? And I know you've developed over time with the run game, but is this above and beyond where you thought it would be at this point?
I don't know that, you know. I mean, if you look back, our best years at North Texas, we ran the ball well because we had Jeffrey Wilson, who is still running the ball in the NFL. And so if you got a really good player, you hand him the ball. And, you know, I think that, and I've said it since I've been here, I think our offensive line is probably what you'd build your team around. They've done a heck of a job. They get things headed up. And the running backs have done a good job just always going forward. You know, I think that's been something that's really helped us in the run game is I don't feel like we've taken many negative yardage runs. And so even if you're only getting 2 or 3, as long as you're not going backwards and getting way behind the sticks, there's value in it, you know. And so that's probably, you know, like I said, I think a lot of that has to do with the offensive line playing a lot of games together, and so they're not getting confused and giving free runners in the backfield. Like I said, and those ball carriers getting going forward, and so when you're getting positive yards every time you call it, you just, you know, kind of continue to do it. The other night, especially in the second half, I felt like we kind of had them fatigued, and we're leaning on them pretty good, and did some good things in the run game, and so we just kind of stuck with it, and we're able to rush the ball really effectively, and you know, I think that you know, sometimes people get too caught up in stats and want to put up stats above winning, and at the end of the day, you got to try to find a way to win the game, and if running the ball is going to give us the best chance to win, we're going to run the football, you know. And there's going to be days where you got to throw it. It feels like you got to throw it every down to win. If that's the case, we'll throw it every down. If you got to run it every down, we'll run it every down. But we're just going to do whatever we can do to try to move the offense, score points, and win football games.
But it does speak to your balance. And, I mean, you were averaging 218 a game without a running quarterback. Everything your quarterback's giving you is either negative or nothing, and you're getting 218 a game.
Yeah, I don't know if that's balance or good football players, but it's something, you know. Like I said, I think that obviously CJ's given a spark in that room, and his production's been really impressive, especially to be as young as he is, and you got a big load coming at him, and he's not a fun guy to tackle, and so if you just continue to give it to him sooner or later, like, he's going to split a couple just because you get tired of running into 240 pounds over and over, you know. And so he's kind of been a spark. But, you know, I thought the other night JJ really ran the ball well, saw things well. came off the bench, gave us a spark. Tony's had good games too. He went for over 100 the other day, and so we got 3 guys that have been good with the football in their hand, and so that's helped us. And like I said, we're going to try to do whatever we think gives us the best chance to win, and kind of get into a game and fill it out and see what's working and stick with it. And that's another thing about JT. The other night, I forget when it was, but asked him over the headset if he wanted to throw something, and he's like, "Well, we're running the ball pretty well, so we called a run play." I don't know. He might be the only quarterback I've ever asked if they want to throw something, and he said run it. But I think that, like I said, it speaks to him. And the other thing about him is he understands things and sees things. And one of the I think the last touchdown we scored, the play before, we had outside zone to the right. They kind of had us overloaded over there, and he flipped the play and got us into a better run to the left. And he's a kid that really understands things and can get you into good runs when you're in a bad one. So that helps with the run game too. So I think it's been a team effort, us running the football, and it's been good to see. I think that the nice thing is we feel like we have enough guys that if we got to throw it and win, we can throw it and win. If we got to run it and win, we can run it and win. And obviously the offensive line plays a large role in both of those because they've done a heck of a job in protection through the first however many 4 weeks, and obviously in the run game, without a good offensive line, you're not going to have the production we've been able to have. And so having those guys obviously helps, and then we feel like we have the skill guys that we can do either depending on what we're getting that night.
As a play caller yourself, what are your thoughts on Sarkisian as a play caller? A lot of conversation of him being an elite play caller, and then in your opinion, what makes somebody an elite play caller?
That's a good question. I don't really know. I think I haven't watched a ton of Sark, but when he's called plays, because I'm always watching the other side of the ball, and so I don't really know a ton about what he does. I do know that they probably had the greatest offensive year, maybe, or second greatest offensive year in the history of football, if not the greatest, that year at Alabama. So he was doing something right and calling some good plays, and he like I said, I think he's done a great job. I just haven't seen a ton of him enough to speak on it, because like I said, I've always watched the other side of the ball. But there's no doubt he's been good offensively, and I'm sure poses challenges to our defense, and they're good on defense too. But the nice thing is I don't have to worry about too much of what Sarkisian's calling. I got to worry about what the other guys are calling.
Well, for you as a play caller, options or good players?
If I had my pick, I'd pick good players. But yeah, good players make every coach better. Yeah. If you have good players, you got a lot of options, and so I think that my philosophy is what it's always been on offense. You better have an identity, and you better believe in what you do and do it at a high level. And so, to me, that's as an offensive philosophy, that's what I believe in. And then the better the players you have, the better you're probably going to be. And it doesn't matter. You can call the best play in the world. If you don't have the players to execute, it's not going to work. Or you can call a really bad play with good players, and sometimes it works. And you're like, well, that's a stupid call, but no one knows that but me. So I think that better players make you a better coach for sure. And like I said, from an offensive play calling philosophy and stuff like that, I think like you got to figure out what you do that lines up best against what they do, and then ask your guys to go execute it.
How much does gut play into what you're seeing out there and what you're calling? I know you got your call sheet and you got all of your percentages and you've got everything that you break down, but then you're just sitting there and you're like, this is going to work.
I think it's different from guy to guy. For me, a ton. Like I just kind of call what I see. Just stand up there and it's like kind of playing a video game when you sit up in the box. You get a pretty good angle of what you're seeing and just go with what you feel. I think other people are a lot more analytically driven, I guess, as far as like, hey, this is what we're going to call in this situation. I've already got it planned before I get into the game. I don't do that quite as much as probably most people. And part of that's probably my background. Like, in high school, my dad didn't have like a big giant play sheet that had every situation scripted, and Coach Leach obviously doesn't have every situation scripted. And so it's kind of what I grew up in and kind of what I know and what I believe in. And so that's the way I've always called it. I don't think there's a right or a wrong. I think it's just a lot of it's, I think, the play caller's personality and probably background.
Did you ever have a Ken Dorsey moment up in the box there?
I'm just glad they don't put cameras in our box every week, because I think that if you put a camera up there and let it run, that you get a lot of good stuff, no matter who's in the box. But, the safest bet is probably to keep the camera out of there.
Coach, I think the questions about the balance you guys are getting offensively are interesting because, you come in with the whole air raid label and stuff. We obviously see Leach's offenses with 50, 60 passes a game and backyard football and that kind of stuff. But is there a misconception, do you think, in your opinion, on what the actual air raid philosophy is? And, does that...
Yeah, I think that the air raid is, and, I've said this a lot, like if you look at all the people that get tagged air raid, none of them are running the same offense. If you turn on any of us, Leach or anyone that came from Leach, and turn the videos on, you wouldn't say it's the same offense, and we all get tagged as air raid. And again, kind of getting back to what I said a minute ago, I think more than anything, the air raid is the philosophy of like have an identity and be really, really good at it. Because, there's a lot of, and none of us are, or I don't think any of us are arrogant enough to think that like our plays are the best plays or the only good plays. You know what I mean? I think that it's just that what most people that have left Leach believe in is like, you can't be good at everything. You know what I mean? So no, if there's 1,000 great plays out there, I don't have time to practice 1,000 great plays and get good at 1,000 great plays. But let's say 30 of them, pick the 30 that fit your team the best that year and go get really good at 30 of them and dress it up and present it differently, but make it for your guys the same 30 plays over and over and over again. And you can't execute that. And to me, that's what I think the air raid is that philosophy of can't be good at everything. So figure out what you can be good at and go be really good at it. And, it doesn't matter if that's in the run game or the pass game. I mean, again, we can dress it up. We can present it differently. We might even make it look like a different play to a defense. But for our quarterbacks or for our players, it's the same play. His reads don't change. The people are going to be in the same spots regardless of where we get them there or how we get them there or where they come from. And so, to me, that's the key. And obviously, I'm biased because I played the quarterback position. But if the quarterback feels really comfortable with the play, it usually works. And if you can build a ton of reps into a certain play or a certain concept, and throughout, and that's why I think that we're able to have success a lot of times in what we do is because, we get 1 million reps in the spring. They get a ton of reps throwing in the summer, whether it be on their own or now with the new OTA stuff that you can do. And then in fall camp, they get a ton of reps and we just run the same plays over and over and over and over again. And so then when you get into the season, yeah, you can present them differently. You can dress them up differently, but that quarterback feels like, well, I ran this play 250 times, so I feel really comfortable. Coach calls this, I think I'm going to execute it because I've seen it against 1 million different looks. No matter what the defense is, I've probably seen it against it, and hopefully it has answers. And I think that, I was talking about this with my GA just a minute ago, Stu. I was telling him, he was asking me, can we run a certain play against a certain look? And I said, well, if we can, it's a bad play. You know what I mean? Like, if we can't follow our rules and it worked, then we probably don't need to run that play. And so that's kind of the thought behind what we do. I think the philosophy behind the air raid offense, and I think really if you really want to say what the air raid offense is, like you either have to say it's Mike Leach, or if you want to loop us all into one umbrella, I think it's just a philosophy of having an identity and being really good at it.
That was going to become my next question is, having that air raid label, do you ever, on a personal level, do you ever worry about that label kind of selling you short as who you are as a coach?
No, I love Coach Leach, and so being associated with him doesn't really bother me, or being associated with an air raid, because like I said, I mean, we were better at running the football my first couple of years at North Texas than we were at throwing the football, just because we had a really good running back, and still people still call me the air raid, and it's like, well, if you look at it statistically, we're not airing it out as much as people probably think, but that doesn't bother me. Yeah, I think that our goal is to go out there and score points and win games and do whatever we can to help the team win, and if we're doing that, like, we're doing our jobs, and the rest will take care of itself.
One thing to that.
I assume when you got out of high school, you got offered by both Texas and Texas Tech.
Not Texas.
Not Texas.
No.
They didn't. Did that bother you?
No, that doesn't bother me. I mean, like, everyone has a style, has a feeling, and at the end of the day, I probably would have gone to Texas Tech anyway. The reason I went to Texas Tech is because I wanted to throw the football, and Mike Leach was throwing the football, and no one else really was at the time. I had a lot of great opportunities, and in high school, we were kind of ahead of the curve as far as running a spread offense and throwing it a lot. And so I knew coming out, like, I liked OU because Mike Leach was at OU when I was younger, and he was throwing the football. And then when he got to Texas Tech, it's not like I knew who Coach Leach was. I just knew that OU was throwing the ball, and then Texas Tech was throwing the ball, And so at the end of the day, I wanted to go where I thought I could throw it a lot, and Texas Tech was obviously that pick. It's not. I didn't grow up a Texas Tech fan or like it's not like I really love Lubbock or anything. I have good food and some good people, but it's like almost the moon out there, you know. And so, yeah, it's crazy, but they do have great people and great food. But it's not like I grew up a Texas Tech fan or anything, you know. I just, like I said, at the end of the day, when I made a decision on where I went to school, I went simply to throw the football and leech through the football, you know.
I was just going to ask you, with the system, with the one similarity with all these guys, even though you do different things, would be calling what you see. I mean, I can remember watching Dana, and he would, if it was 3rd and 8 and it was a light box, he was running.
Yeah.
And if it was whatever, would that be the one similarity with all of the people that are from that mummy leech tree? The willingness to do that?
Maybe, you know, I haven't looked enough into it. You know, I haven't studied those other guys enough, but I do think there's a lot of, I mean, because if you look at Leach and like when he talks about stuff and a lot of guys, I think that probably come from him is it's, you know, everyone always talks about Leach talking about like, well, just attack grass and stuff like that. And like, what's that mean? You know, I mean, they always ask stuff like that. And just, you know, Leach will tell you there's no such thing as coverage, and he'll tell you some crazy stuff sometimes. But he you know, it really, when he talks about it, he's like, it comes down to 2 things: leverage and grass. Like, where's leverage, where's grass, and attack that. And so I think that there is something to that, as far as like, well, there's a lot of people over there, and there's not very many people over there. Do something to get the ball right there. You know what I mean? And I think that at times we overcomplicate the game of football. We overcomplicate a lot of things. I think, you know, especially like coaching quarterbacks and stuff, you can cloud their mind with information overload. And I think that that's the game of football too. You can get kind of paralyzed with analytics and overcomplicate things and overthink things. But, you know, kind of like when I was talking about JT, that check he made the other night, it's like, well, there's a lot of people over there and there's not many over there, so run it there instead of there, you know? And so, yeah, so that's what he did, and it was a great job. But I do think there is a lot of that, like, in what we do, and in kind of that air raid philosophy of like, hey, just, you know, throw it where they're not, you know, or run it where they're not, or if they're going to drop a million people, try to hand the football off. And we've been effective on 3rd down, I think, in, you know, 3rd and medium and 3rd and longer situations, running the football, because like I said, we've seen light boxes, we've got into good plays, and whether it be JT getting us into a good play or whatever, getting into a good play and moving the sticks. And like I said, like, if it's 3rd and long and you got a chance to run it and you think you can get it, go get it. And the nice thing here has been Coach Brown's allowed us to go for it on 4th down if we've come a tad bit short, you know what I mean? And so and we've been pretty effective on 4th downs, it feels like. I don't know the exact numbers on that, but it feels like we've been pretty good on 4th down when we have been able to go for it. So you know, when that's the case, you're even a little more willing to throw it underneath or run the football, you know, throw it underneath the chains or run it on 3rd or in situations where a lot of people want to do that, just because it's been effective. And, you know, if we've gotten it close, we've gone for it on 4th and picked a lot of them up.
Thank you.
Yep.